Welcome back. You're still watching The World Today on Channels Television. Now, when will the River Steenkamp case come to an end? Well, for now, we can't tell you that for sure, but what we can tell you is that it's been adjourned until tomorrow. Now, during today's proceedings, the cousin of the late River Steenkamp took to the witness stand again, saying the 27-year-old Paralympian needs to pay for what he's done. We'll now take you through the highlights of what's happened so far in the sentence hearing.
It's been yet another grueling and stressful week for the Steenkamps. They have had to endure sitting through yet another week of being reminded of the loss of their daughter.
And the next words were, allegedly shot his girlfriend. And I remember saying to my husband, I hope to God he is cheating on Riva.
In truth, they could never get her back. But just like every family that has had to go through losing a loved one in the way Riva Steenkamp was killed, they want some form of justice.
The fact that the matter had been kept confidential at the request of Mr. Pistorius' legal advisors has also not been placed on record.
If the defense team had their way, Oscar wouldn't jail. He would do some form of community service or be placed under house arrest.
In the process of compensating for the wrong done, he will get an opportunity to restructure and modify his offending behavior within the community context where there are sufficient resources to produce the expected outcome. The accused appears to be a cooperative person whose offending behavior could be managed and modified within the community context.
Understandably, the state prosecutor was offended and protested.
There is nowhere in this judgment that the accused had no intention to shoot. You're wrong.
3 years.
Only 3 years.
3 years correctional supervision.
And you think that that is in the interest of society, that reflects the seriousness of the crime, that somebody should be sent to 3 years correctional supervision for having killed an innocent woman in a house.
The following day, the defense continued to argue its case, saying that prison would do nothing but break him further.
This is the opinion of the author that incarceration of the accused taking his physical disability and his emotional, psychological and psychiatric state into consideration can only impact negative and intensely on the person of the accused, and the fact place him in danger. It will not assist him but would break him as a person. It would take his future away, and the broken person will be reintroduced to society.
On the third day, it was time for the Steenkamps to tell their story, and the late mother's cousin opted to lend her voice to Riva.
It's terrible. It's I'd say it's ruined our whole family. It's ruined Uncle Barry and Auntie June. Riva was everything to them. You know, she was the only child in PE for a long time, and they absolutely adored her. They were so proud of her, what she had accomplished, and she looked after them so well, you know, not just financially. Riva that's why I was so worried about facing them, because I didn't know how they were going to cope. I didn't think they'd be able to cope with knowing that Riva wasn't there.
After that day, the Steenkamps returned home in order to prepare to face yet another day in court the following day.
Offending behavior could be managed.
Just like the people in the court, the residents of Pretoria shared mixed feelings about what the fate of Oscar should be.
I still think that he's supposed to go to jail because justice should be served at the end of the day, whether he paid for whatever every month to Riva's family. Though he did that, he can never bring Riva back, so he should just go to jail like the rest of the murderers that murdered.
He must just accept what he did, because he's the one who knows what happened, because that family, they are currently going through difficult times. So in order for them, for that healing, so I think he must just accept. Maybe after it's where they will forgive him.
However, no matter what the fate of Oscar will be, his future rests in the hands of Judge Tokosile Masipa. The question everyone is asking is how long it will take. Clearly, we will all have to play the waiting game.
To South Sudan now. Tens of thousands of South Sudanese who fled to a UN base to escape violence in Unity State are now facing another enemy, and that's rising floodwaters. Our colleague at the VOA, Gabe Joslow, has this exclusive report from the Bentiu protection site where aid workers are scrambling to help a population who seem to have nowhere else to turn to.
Life for displaced people at the Bentiu protection site is a daily battle against the rising waters. Outside one flooded home, a family tries to rebuild a small mud dam, the only thing separating them from the murky lake that surrounds them. Teresa, a mother of 8, says they do not even have enough dry space to build a fire. Inside their home, the floor is made of a wet, sticky mud. The family takes turns sleeping in 2 beds.
Sometimes we go without anything to eat. The place is filled with water and the children cry from standing up all day with no place to sit down.
A soggy marshland. This UN peacekeepers base was never meant for so many people. But today, 47,000 have crammed in to escape violence outside. Mostly from the Nuer tribe, they fled fighting between the mostly Nuer armed opposition and Dinka government forces which now control the city. Many are still too afraid to leave. At least here, there are markets and a sense of community. But living knee-deep in this polluted water makes this existence unsustainable.
Yeah, a lot of cases happen, like skin diseases. People are, you can say, I feel itching in my body, so you don't sleep well. Skin diseases, diarrhea, water diarrhea, so because all latrines flooded. And if latrines are flooded, they all goes into the household.
Hasn't just destroyed homes, it's also taken out schools and blocked access to health facilities. So the agencies that were providing those services in the camp have now switched their focus to one priority: drainage. International NGOs have been working.
Well, now we shift our attention to Asia. It seems like the Hong Kong government is taking 1 step forward and then 2 steps back. After cancelling talks which were supposed to hold last Friday, it now says it's ready for new talks with student protesters come next week. The announcement was made after scuffles between protesters and police continued for a second night on a major road near government buildings. These protests were sparked by a Chinese government ruling that limits who can stand as a candidate in Hong Kong's leadership elections in 2017.
The most constructive thing that the Hong Kong government can offer the students is to sit down and listen to the students what we can do together within the framework decision of the National People's Congress Standing Committee. The Hong Kong Special Administrative Region government cannot make something that is not in the basic law possible. Politics is the art of the possible, and we have to draw a line between possibilities and impossibilities. The central authorities have said clearly that they will not retract the decision of the Standing Committee decision on the 31st of August. So that's what they said. And we would like to explore with them what else we can do together so that the 5 million eligible voters in Hong Kong will have the first opportunity in Hong Kong's history to vote in the chief executive in 2017. And this has never happened before.
For more on what's happening in Hong Kong, I'm now being joined live from Washington, D.C. by the VOA's Raymond Yam. Raymond, thank you so much for joining us again on The World Today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, why the sudden change of heart? Why is the government willing to talk now with the protesters?
Well, a lot of people speculated because there's a lot of rumors that the Beijing government would like Hong Kong government to resolve the whole issue before next Monday, because the Beijing, the Communist Party, will have their 4th plenum meeting held beginning next Monday. And so this is one of the reasons. And second of all, as you might know, there was a police brutality happened 2 nights ago, and it took a lot of people's attention to accuse the police bad behavior, beating the peaceful demonstrator, and also the global media worldwide report the whole incident. So it might be the tactics from the Hong Kong government try to resolve the issue and reintroduce the talk to the demonstrator.
Now, Are the protests still going on despite the announcement of the proposed talks?
Oh, yes, they do. And there is the protest never been stopped. You still see people occupy in those three major areas in downtown Hong Kong. And although the people, they participate is a little bit small compared with 2 weeks ago, still there are lots of people stay overnight on those areas holding their position.
Now, I just want to ask you, and give us an update, if you can, about what's happening with the police who were brutal to one of the protesters. Could you give us any idea of what's going on with them now?
At this moment, the Hong Kong Police Department making an announcement on Thursday afternoon Hong Kong time that 7 police officers which involved in this incident has been suspended. And the police said that they will establish an independent task force to investigate what exactly is going on. At this moment, this is the only news that we got regarding for those 7 police officers who were involved with the beating with the demonstrator.
Now, finally, before I let you go, Raymond, what kind of compromise do you think the government and the student protesters will come to if these talks actually hold this time around?
I think this is a very good question because we know. And as you may know, you just aired one of the footage by the Hong Kong Chief Executive, C.Y. Leung. He emphasized that Beijing, the central government, will not retrace their decision regarding for the election method for the Chief Executive in 2017. And this is exactly what the demonstrator they are asking for, which is the real universal suffrage, instead of pre-screen 2 or 3 candidates from a so-called selection committee in order to let the register to vote for it. And if without the real compromise in this issue, I really don't have a high expectation for the talk next week. Not to mention, at this moment, we have no idea the date and the time for the negotiation.
We'll definitely be reaching out to you when we confirm the day and time of that talk that will hopefully hold this time around. Raymond, as always, it's been a pleasure having you join us on The World Today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I've been speaking with the VOA's Raymond Yam, and he's been telling us more about the proposed talks between the Hong Kong government as well as the student protesters. Well, that's The World Today. Many thanks for watching. I'm Cynthia Arrow.